Hello all, welcome to my channel TechNexa with Anirban. So today we are going to discuss part 2 of a firewall configuration. So that is related to rules and policy. In our last video by which we have configured WAN configuration, LAN configuration, DHCP and DNS. So that is with the basic configuration which you have configured how your internet and LAN will communicate. Now, without this firewall rule, you will not able to move the traffic. So all of those traffic can be only possible if you have a valid firewall rule. Though there is a default network policy which will be available for your firewall, but here I'm going to show you how this is going to. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to just I am going to first stop this firewall, this policy. So let me reject this policy for the time being. Just a second, it is going to okay. So now I'm going to, so my existing default policy, I have just stopped it. So now let us create a new policy, new firewall rule. So this is, so what I'm saying, I'm going to allow traffic from my LAN, that is my office, to WAN for internet. So LAN to WAN. So I'll say log firewall traffic, which will log all the firewall traffic, which I can do a validation, which I will show you later. Now, so as the policy itself define my LAN to WAN, then my source zone is a LAN, source network and device. So here there are a lot of options which is available based on IP list, IP range, MAC address, MAC list, network you can do. So what does this means, right? So here over here you can give a list of IP or MAC address for those machines or for particular those device. Only LAN to WAN will be allowed. For the remaining machines or device, though they will have a IP address, but they will not have a valid internet connectivity. But for this tutorial, I'm going to show you LAN to WAN flow of traffic. So now during scheduled time, so here also there is an option where you can say 5 days a week, 6 days a week. So I will keep it all the time. I need internet all the time. Whenever the people are there, they should able to access the internet. Destination zone is my WAN. Is there any destination network? WAN, no, we are not selecting any destination network because I need to allow all my user to reach internet without any restriction. If you want to give a destination network based on the port, that is also it's possible. The port number like ICMP, IP, whatever you want to allow any type, you can do that. But for this tutorial, I'm saying service ID. Now match known user. So this is again a part of your IAM, identity access management, where you can configure user based access. The user with a valid name and the username and the password will only able to get internet access, which I'm going to cover on my later videos. NAT rule is a linked NAT rule. So already NAT rules are there part of it. So by default, you will get a NAT rule. So NAT is a network address translator, which allows to convert from public to private. So it helps the traffic flow between the public IP to private, because those two are in a different subnet, different network. You need to have a NAT rule configured so the both of them understand and flow the traffic. Web filtering, yes. This is again I'm going to cover in today's video, but I will come to it a little bit later. There are web policies, default work policies. These are all default policies which by default you will get on your internet. However, you want to modify any of those policies, I will show you how you can modify them. There are other options are there like traffic shaping, IPS, identity and control application, app control. So if you want to do that, that is also possible based on the your policies and restricted. Okay, so now let me save this policy. Okay, so one thing which is very interesting, always a rules which are on top gets priority. Okay, so now my LAN to WAN rule is configured, but there are no data as such. I am connected to internet. My internet is up. If you can see, we are giving internet access. Let's try to see if I'm able to ping the Google DNS. So my Google DNS is reachable. That means I'm able to get internet. So let's see. Okay, fine. And what is my the IP address? So let's see. Okay, so network interface, my IP address is 192.168.4.4. So I am getting a valid IP from my firewall. Also, I can see my internet is up. So if you can quickly browse Google, you can see there is a internet and it is actively working. Now, next part is let's try to configure a web policies which will help us to restrict some of the websites. So by default, you can see there are a lot of policies which are restricted, part of your web policies, and there are groups are also there. Now, if you want to give a specific web policy or specific restriction to your internet, so the easiest way will be you can configure it from here. Now if you can see earlier it was a 0, now we can see there is a data movement, 2.7 MB, 1.3 MB, there is a data movement on that. Also over from the log viewer, you can see LAN to WAN default and NAT rule 1, firewall rule 1. So if you want to see your policy is working on or not and from which port it is moving. So if you remember the last video, we have configured our port number 2 and the firewall rule is 1. And now to validate is that the same rule which is allowing my traffic or not. So we can check it from here. If you can see LAN to WAN ID 1. So through this you can validate, yes, my rule is working, and also I can see some data. Now let's come back to the web policy. So the easiest way to do a web filtering over here, you can go to the web policy from here itself and you can select one policy. Like there are the default policies are there. So I'm going to select, let me see which policy I can select. So let me select default workspace policy. Now in this, I want to do some modification or I can add a new policy as per my choice. Now, though I have a default policy, I'm going to select this policy and then I have said online shopping is block. So I have created this rule. Okay, let me delete this rule first and create it from beginning. So you can delete this rule, add rule, so I can do a content filtering also. Let me see. So the activity on shopping. Now once you click that, you need to save your configuration.